Hello Terraria enthusiasts, my name is James and I've been working on some big projects this week, but one of the comments I keep seeing popping up is, hey James, do you know about Terraria 1.3.5, the next big PC update, and what do you think it will be? Now, it's pretty early days for Terraria 1.3.5, we don't know an official release date yet, we don't know what they're officially working on, we're kind of in the dark on this one, but I have had a theory about Terraria 1.3.5 for a really long time, so I thought I'd kind of get it out there today, ask you guys what you think, present the evidence, and just kind of have a little bit of a discussion with you guys about what I think the next major Terraria patch will be. So let's just jump straight into it. So there was a post on the Terraria Facebook page about 5 months ago when somebody asked, hey, will Terraria ever get a creative mode? To which the official Terraria dev team responded, yes, we're working on the creative mode, or at least we want to work on a creative mode. And essentially what happened to that post was it was kind of clipped and then taken to Reddit, where Senex kind of elaborated a little bit more on what this creative mode might be like. So Senex said something along the lines of, the Terraria creative mode is something we want to add, but we want to make it different to Minecraft. So in Minecraft, what you do is you create a world, you decide whether it will be creative or not, and bam, you are locked into creative mode forever. That's if you're in the single player, of course. So they want to make it different from Minecraft. How will they do it? Well, I actually have a theory for that. But first, I want to talk to you about why I think this creative mode update is 1.3.5. So around the point of 5 months ago, we were waiting on the launch of 1.3.2, which we now know to be the party update. We then got the desert update, and then we got the Dungeon Defenders 2 update. Now, all of these updates, these free micro updates from 1.2 to 1.4, well, they actually had a clear plan for these updates 5 months ago. We knew 1.3.2 was coming out. We also knew at the same time that 1.3.3 would be the sequel to 1.3.2, that they'd split in the update. And then we also knew that 1.3.4 was in the works because Senex said, I can't wait for 2 updates from now, meaning the Dungeon Defenders 2 update. So that's where we're at with spoilers and all of that stuff. So it leaves this big gap of what is 0.5? And that's why I think it's the creative mode. I think we've not had any word on it yet because we actually had word on it 5 months ago when they were talking about all the other stuff that we've just gotten. They had it all figured out 5 months ago. So they could have been working on creative mode for 5 months now, just in the background and kind of tweaking it. We're seeing experimental features in this latest patch. This may be something we see in a point update or a point update, but I definitely think it's coming very, very soon. I think it's definitely going to be one of the next patches. So how will this creative mode be different to Minecraft? Well, in Minecraft, at the start of the game, you actually get every single item and block just given to you as you pick creative mode. How I think Terraria will do it is one, by adding a bunch of restrictions so that you can't completely unbalance the game for yourself. But I think they'll also work on a catalogue system. So as you play through the single player, as you pick up a bit of dirt, a bit of stone, a bit of sand, you will unlock them in your personal catalogue. So when you jump into creative mode, you will have these items available to you forever and unlimited. But I think that you must go and get them in single player for you to enjoy the full range of the blocks. Now, I think this because, Terraria has had all these little measurements in Terraria 1.3.4 to keep the game balanced. And I think that this is something they want to do to reward players for playing for such a long time. They don't want to just give it to players. If they wanted to give this to players, they could have done it at the start of Terraria's development. But I think there's a reason why they've kind of dragged it out into one of these, last remaining updates. And that's because they want players to have unlocked everything to, to access this final feature. Kind of as a, a swan song to Terraria, just a, here is creative mode, go mad. But I think the catalogue system is completely something reasonable and something that I think the development team will kind of look into as they work on 1.3.5. But anyway, guys, that's actually just my theory at the minute. It's just a working theory. I think with the way that 1.3.2 to 1.3.4 was delivered, I think they actually had this in mind 5 months ago, and I think that's why we got that confirmation then. Like I said, we have no official word on the development or the release date or anything like that. It's just a theory. Anyway, guys, have an absolutely fantastic day. If this is your first Terraria video, make sure to click that subscribe button. By clicking subscribe to ChippyGaming, you're in the one-stop place for all your Terraria needs. Anyway, guys, have an absolutely fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.